Hello everyone and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to try and name the best road cyclists in each of the 12 countries of South America. South America has enjoyed a lot of success in the past decade compared to other continents in a sport that is very Euro focused. Anyways, the way we're gonna select the best riders from each country is looking of course at their most recent race results both domestically and internationally. But in some cases where cycling isn't as popular, it will be quite hard to select the best rider, so you'll have to bear with me on those fronts. But I will make it the best overall rider, so it doesn't matter if they're a sprinter, time trialer or a climber. So sit back and enjoy this little tour around all the different nations of South America's elite cyclists and of course the questionable pronunciation by yours truly. We begin our list with the most southern country on the continent and the third highest populated, that is of course Argentina. Argentina always has the highlight every year to start the season with their race, the San Juan International Stage Race. But in terms of deciding the best rider for the country, Argentina actually have plenty of strong riders at the moment, including Eduard Sepulveda, who rode for Movistar for 3 seasons and finished second in the Tour de San Luis in 2016. Speaking of the highest elite stage race in Argentina, another of their active riders, Daniel Diaz, actually won it in 2013 and 2015 in front of the likes of Nairo Quintana. But on this occasion, I will have to give the award of best Argentinian rider to the UAE Team Emirates Maximilian Riqueze, who is 37 years old, but he is also the current Pan-American champion from 2019 and the current Argentinian road race champion. Plus, he's also the only Argentinian rider to register wins in the Giro d'Italia. Next on the list, we have the highest elevated country on the continent, that is of course Bolivia, who are not as specialized in cycling as many of their neighbors. Their best rider at the moment I could find is Oscar Solis, who won both his national road race and national time trial championships together on 3 occasions spanning from 2014 to 2016. He basically dominated Bolivian cycling, and he also managed to win the national tour, the Vuelta a Bolivia, and has won 11 stages of that race in his career. But it's strange that there hasn't been a national championships in Bolivia since 2016, so this made it a very hard choice to find a rider. Moving on to the biggest country in South America, that is of course Brazil. And in Brazil, cycling is not the go-to sport, but they have had a few pros on the top level of cycling. Mario Ribrio, for instance, was the only Brazilian as of yet to win a Tour de France stage, and he did that back in 1991. And more recently, we have also seen the likes of Murilo Fischer, who rode on the top level of cycling for Liquigas, Team Garmin Transition, and also 4 years with Francis Duger before he retired in 2016. And Brazil also have Rafael Andriato, who rode for the Vini Fantini team for 6 years through the team's various transitions in sponsor names. But for the best Brazilian rider right now, I will have to go for youth in this occasion, and I will go with the defending time trial champion, the 24-year-old André Eduardo Goff, who could have a really bright future for Brazil. Chile is the next country on our list, and the longest one in the world, totaling 4,270 kilometers from north to south. Chile's best rider at the moment has to be Carlos Ivan Oyarzun, who rode for Movistar in 2011, even riding the Giro d'Italia. He's certainly a talented time trialist as well, and managed to win the Intercontinental Pan-American Championships in the time trial twice in 2013 and 2015, and also won the Tour of Uruguay in 2015, plus represented Chile in the 2020 World Championships in Imola and finished 39th in the time trial, and he was the second fastest South American. Next on our tour around South America, we come to the country that have brought us amazing cycling fans and an incredible plethora of super talented climbers in the past decade, and that is of course Colombia. However, this passion and successful cycling didn't begin with Nairo Quintana. We can trace that back to the Café de Colombia team that existed from 1983 to 1990, and they even had Luis Herrera part of this team. And in 1984, still an amateur, Luis Herrera actually won the Alpe d'Huez stage in the Tour de France, which was truly incredible. And their golden generation that they seem to have was of course kicked off by Nairo Quintana's Tour de l'Avenir win in 2010, a competition many of Colombia's current superstars have won as well, such as Chaves the following year, Miguel Lopez in 2014, and Egan Bernal in in 2017. Between the four of them, they have won all the Grand Tours in professional cycling and also podiumed many as well. Nairo Quintana, of course, winning the Giro and the Vuelta a España, and Egan Bernal was the first South American to win the Tour de France. In terms of the best rider right now, I want to give it to Egan Bernal, but he did not have the best 2020 season, and Miguel Lopez has been a very consistent rider in the past seasons despite his two disastrous time trials in the Giro d'Italia and Tour de France in 2020. He did, however, take the Queen stage of the 2020 Tour de France on the top of Col de la Loz, and of course there are a lot of Colombian fans who still think that Nairo Quintana can win the Tour de France even in 2021, but there are of course two time trials. However, for the feat that Egan Bernal managed to accomplish and the fact that I have faith in him to come back to his best in this new season, I will have to give the title of Best Colombian Rider to Egan Bernal. Ecuador has enjoyed tremendous success since Richard Carapaz took his heroic Giro d'Italia win in 2019. He seems to have inspired success amongst his fellow countrymen as well, and in the 2020 Giro d'Italia, both Narvaez and Casteiro took stage wins respectively. And to add to that, we even have the 2019 Pan American champion and Ecuadorian national champion on both the road and the time trial in 2018. That is of course Jefferson Cepeda, who rides for Cararual. But I can't justify giving the title of best Ecuadorian rider to anyone than the second place finisher at the Vuelta a España in 2020. That is of course Richard Carapaz. Next on our list we have Guyana, or officially the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, situated on the Atlantic coast and characterized by very dense rainforests. The population is small at only 800,000 people, and in terms of cycling, not exactly a powerhouse like Colombia. In terms of the country's best rider, it's a choice between the 2017 National Road Race Champion and National Time Trial Champion Reina Jeffrey and Marlon Fishy Williams, who is probably one of the most synonymous names in Guyana cycling, as he's the only Guyanese to have won the Caribbean Senior Road Race Championships. Just a little side story here, I've included the article down in the description, but KFC actually decided to sponsor a team called Team Evolution in the country, and they seem to be driving the sport forward. So that was a very nice story. In terms of best rider, on this occasion I will go with Reynath Jeffrey for the best cyclist, as he even represented Guyana in the 2014 Commonwealth Games in the time trial. Moving on to our next country, which is Paraguay, and in the continent it is landlocked between Argentina, Brazil and Bolivia, and again not a country steeped in cycling history. So for the best cyclist I will have to go with the 2020 National Road Race Champion Victor Manuel Grange. Next on our list we have Peru, a country famous for its sticky jungles and spectacular Andes, and of course Machu Picchu. But for cycling it is quite a different affair, as it's not the country's primary sport. The best cycling at the moment seems to be Roina Navarro, who finished 6th in the 2020 Tour of Ecuador and 43rd in the Vuelta a San Juan International, actually ahead of Peter Sagan in the GC, and was the highest placed rider from Peru. Suriname is the smallest country in South America and is on the Atlantic coastline, and for cyclists it's very scarce to find riders. But I will on this occasion have to go for the 2014 National Road Race champion, that is Merwin Arumio. But this selection seems very random in my opinion, as 2014 is some time ago. Uruguay is the smallest country in the world to win the Football World Cup, but of course the country with a population of 3.4 million people are not exactly recognized for cycling. So in terms of the best rider, it has to go to Mauricio Moreira, who rides for the Portuguese continental team FPAL and rode for the Pro Conti team Cararual for the 2018 and 2019 season, and in the 2019 season he even won a stage in the French stage race, the Boucle de la Maine, and finished 2nd overall in GC. And only being 25, he still has a bright future ahead. Now coming to our final country on the list, that is of course Venezuela, which is located at the northern end of South America, and the country almost occupies a triangular area in country landmass. But for cycling it is a very interesting country, as they have had success success with riders such as Jose Rujano, who won 3 stages in the Giro d'Italia and even the Mountains Classification in 2005, plus the Tour de Langkawi in 2010, and the 2011 winner of that race was also from Venezuela. That was, of course, Jonathan Monsalve. And Adroni Giocattoli, the Pro Conti Italian team, even had Venezuela in their team name from 2012 to 2014. Furthermore, they also had the first stage race in 2021 in the form of the Tour of Venezuela, where their former star Jose Rujano managed to finish 18th, and the winner was his fellow countryman Roniel Campos, who incidentally also won the previous edition. When it comes to the selection of the best rider, I won't go based on career points, as many of the Venezuelan pros are still riding but are into their late 30s or early 40s. So I'd rather opt to go for Roniel Campos, because when he actually won the Tour of Venezuela, he wasn't actually riding for a continental team. So with that, we have come to the end of this list of South American best riders. Hope you've enjoyed it, and of course let me know in the comments which names I've totally butchered, and if there's any selections you disagree with, or is there a rider I've left out. I know for a fact in the Euro video many of you disagreed with my Vincenzo Nibali pick over Filippo Ganna. Maybe I was wrong in hindsight. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel, because this really does help us a lot. And of course, as always, thank you for watching, and see you next time.